Welcome inside the Treehouse Football Podcast, episode number 10. We have reached double digits.
Yeah.
Football podcast. They haven't stopped us yet, much like the Cowboys defense. Maybe I should rephrase that to make more sense. They haven't stopped us yet, much like the Eagles tush push. But here we are. Treehouse Football Podcast number 10. Let's just jump right into the misery.
Yeah.
And the misery is, of course, that I didn't have the opportunity to have an anxiety freak out about being one person inside the throngs of Rangers fans in Arlington. What was it? I think Arlington Fire Department estimated 500 to 700,000 people along that parade route in that area. My God.
Oh, some of the pictures, there was one picture of a building, and it had to have been I'm going to guess like a 6-story parking garage, and it was full of people, like every floor. And just like,
see what happens when you make parking free? That's what I'm saying.
I have reached the age and where I live now currently that if I see a sign that says free parking, I am fully erect.
I'm glad you said that because that's my first when somebody invites me anywhere. My first question is not who's coming, not do I need to bring anything. My first question, what's parking look like? And I will do this. My buddy likes to watch the Cowboys game over at Sidecar Social, and that place is a disaster. When it comes to parking, because there's a movie theater and then there's all the shops and there's all the bars and all that stuff. I will give it 2 laps. And I tell them every time. I was like, I will go twice. This is my effort. I'll drive around that parking lot.
You get 2 laps through the lot and the garage is deuces.
And then I'm going home. And he doesn't believe every single time. He doesn't believe me. He's like, there's parking space. I'm like, I'm on my second lap.
Yeah. Unless you're standing in that parking space, I don't believe it.
I've made him do that before. I'm like, go stand in it. And then I'll come. But I will go across the street to the Boosie Bird, the chicken wing place. Because there's a Dollar Tree. It's plenty of parking.
Now what if the place has valet? Will you valet?
Absolutely not. Are you out of your mind?
Raj, is that level of frugal hereditary in your family?
I'll spend. You know me. I spend money. I'm not frugal. But are you? You want me?
You're just picky about it.
You want me to? You're going to charge me to park my own car?
What if it's free? Free valet, complimentary valet.
That Lava Cantina does that, and I will do that, and I will tip very well. I'm like, You know what? Here's what I would pay in LA to valet the car. I'll give you that cash for doing it for free. But if there's no parking, I'm going home.
It's funny because, and I asked that because valet is one of those funny things. Some people just on principle hate being, if they feel like they're forced to valet, they won't do it.
Yep.
Correct. Yes. So. I mean, like the valet is a young thing. It's for young kids now because they're lazy. I don't mind the walk. Like I've debated coming to your bar, but I know where it's at. And I'm like, I don't know how the parking situation is.
Oh, you know how the parking situation is in Uptown in Dallas. It's terrible.
I'm not. That's why I don't go. I've debated. I'm like, you know what? I should stop by the Standard Poor and say what's up to Trey. And I'm like, parking.
If you ever do, I now know a secret place, so I can tell you where to park.
Oh,
both Trey, you could make some serious money off that secret place.
Yeah.
Because the last time Tara and I came to see you at Standard Poor for brunch, there's that parking lot behind the building.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it costs like $25 to park there.
$25 to park there, and
out of your mind.
It's not. So the lot was purchased by a tow company.
Okay.
Of course it was.
Do they give you nuggets of gold when you get out of your car for $25? Do they give you a nugget of gold and say
maybe when you don't pay it and they tow your car and then they charge you $300 to get it out?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the ultimate. I mean, you have to tip your hat to them because it's brilliant business wise.
Oh, it is.
They can't lose.
It's sort of akin to a musician owning all the publishing rights to their music.
I would
It's
tip my hat.
you want to own everything about your business from the top down. Like if you start any sort of a, I don't know, any sort of a food business, let's say, it's not enough to just make the food and distribute it. You should also then own the trucks that deliver it. So basically, own every single segment of the supply chain or whatever, all through the business. And I also feel like there is so many occupations in the world that were underserved when we were all in school on career day. Like there was no one there. There was not car wash operator owner there, which
Yeah.
makes
Yep.
tons of money. There wasn't parking lot owner. And those are huge money makers that I would have been really interested in knowing about as, a middle schooler.
That just means you didn't go to school with any Persians. So that's what that means. That's all it was. And nobody like you're not going to ask like a second grader, like, hey, so what do you want to do when you grow up? It's like, oh, I want to own a parking garage. Like nobody wants that. Nobody's dream is to do that.
Well, that's why it's all about the messaging. So what you do is if you're the parking garage owner, parking lot, or a tow operating company, what you do is you show up with your logoed stuff, right? Because you got to promote the company. But as far as the pitch goes, you show your vacation photos. Let me switch hands so I'm covering up on my microphone boom. This was me in Tahiti for a month and a half, all because I charged $25 and owned the lot behind Standard Poor, and I also own the tow operating company. So you show the kids what's possible by owning the parking lot and the tow company, and then they'll be on board.
So you paid $25 to park?
No, Raj, I did not pay $25 to park. I paid $25 to know exactly where my car was in Uptown after I'd had 2 carafes of mimosas and a spicy Bloody Mary.
Money well spent.
It kind of was at that point. Plus, Trey gave us some carb heavy cinnamon rolls.
Oh, okay.
So there was no way I was going to be able to walk a mile after that to find the
car. Okay, I was almost disappointed in you, but that works out.
Speaking of disappointment,
yes,
Cowboys Eagles game of inches, poor officiating. Dak doesn't know between the inbounds pylon, the off in the end at another county pylon. He doesn't know how big or small his feet are. Our tight ends don't know at what depth to run an out route. The officials don't seem to understand Dak when he says 71 is an eligible receiver. The officials don't like to call holding penalties until 3.5 quarters in, but they are fine to give the Cowboys 50 free yards forward, but then also take them back 30, 40 yards. It was kind of a dumb game if you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, that was I was texting my brother. I was texting Neil throughout the whole thing, and he brought up the same point you just did. He goes, are they going to call a holding penalty at any point in this game? And I was like, I don't know how they don't see this. And it's blatant. And I've always wondered this. Like, I don't think refs should have that kind of power. I think they should, right? I think there should be some other, like it should go to the booth. Like it should, if you're going to review plays, I think there should be somebody in the booth that sees every play. And
so you would prefer the on-field officials or official, whatever, basically just be the clock manager, and then all penalties and things are booth stuff.
Yes, that would be ideal because this was just, there was, I counted 6 before the third quarter. 6 holding penalties that weren't called. But again, it was bad. It was just dumb throughout the whole thing. Just watching the refs and again, going back to just the Cowboys in general, just watching them kind of acquiesce to what was happening. Going, okay, if it's going to be dumb, we're going to play dumb. And that's what they did. And
that's why I posted the next day, never go full Cowboy.
That made me laugh out loud. That was so great. That was so great. Like, never go full Cowboy.
What I don't understand is, like, specifically, there was one play, Cowboys tried to do a quarterback sneak. I'm like, are they afraid of Dak's ass? Why can't they push it?
Yeah.
Why can't they, it's like you watch.
Well, his
watch the
ass
Eagles
is
do it?
apparently more fragile than Jalen Hurts's.
It's-
And I will say this, okay, and this is so my setting for watching the game was almost terrible because we're now living on St. John. There were only like two bars showing the game with the sound, and we were at one of them, and so was about 30 Eagles fans. And
Oh, wow.
to their credit, there was one pair of Eagles fans that we sat next to the entire game, and I swear to God, I'm not making any of this up. They were nice. The rest of them were not. They were all terrible, stereotypical Eagles fans.
Gotcha.
But the couple we were next to, they were actually nice. Now, that being said, it was a dumb game.
Yeah. It was it was just I haven't seen a game officiated like that before. Like, at least I know there's a bias, right? I get it. There's a hometown bias and whatever. It's their hometown refs, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, but
But
they're
I
not
mean,
hometown refs. They're NFL refs.
Yeah, I know, but still there is a bias when it's a home game. I get it. Right? They're a little more favorable. I understand that. But when it's just blatant, like, what do you do? Like, if like, again, like, I was sitting next to I was sitting across from a lady who showed up just so hammered. She was for that day. She was my spirit animal. Like, she showed up, just like when you walk into a bar, and as a bartender, when the first thing they order is a water. I'm like, yeah, they're already there, buddy. Like, they got there in the parking lot.
Wait, was she a Chiefs fan that had started at like 9:00 in the morning?
No,
because I had a couple of those with
Oh,
that.
no. This was, I mean, full blue and white. And she walked in, and the first thing I thought, I'm like, I'm just waiting on my wings, and the first thing I see her, and I was like, "Ooh, somebody's hammered already!" Like, and then she sat down, she's like, "I have a little water." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I
that's
heard
what happens
water.
when your pregame takes on too much of an in-game mentality.
Yeah. And she was called. She was like, "There's a hold." I was like, "She can see it. Like, if she can see holding penalties, like,
Yeah,
and you're
she's
and
the
you're
reason that Crown Royal has those commercials where the official comes in, blows the whistle, and says "water timeout." It's because of that lady.
Yeah, she water timed out for the first, I think the first and second quarter, maybe
Trey, were you
like,
able to watch much of the games? I think you probably had to work.
I was working, so I got to see parts of it. I definitely saw some of the. There was one play where Dak was running around and I'm sorry, when Hurts was running around and like you were like, I'm going, holy crap, that not a hold, that's a tackle, and they didn't call it. And
Yeah.
but there were, that goes both ways, and I do understand that. It's easy when you're watching it on TV and angles and everything else, but you're on the field, it's moving incredibly fast. But the refs did seem rather incompetent. But not knowing where the sideline is also pretty incompetent.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's where, as a player, if you're having to work against the adversity that is NFL officiating, then you need to make sure you're doing everything you can to not, shoot yourself in the foot. Basically, it's like help yourself.
Yeah.
In the face of poor officiating or things that are beyond your control. One thing Dak could control was his right foot, but apparently he didn't bother to do that. I don't know if he needs glasses. I don't know if he is colorblind and can't see white versus green in and out of bounds. But I during that play, I'm like, how do you mess that up that badly?
And then the look of disappointment, like when he saw the replay.
Yeah,
the look of disappointment on his face.
Before anybody, when they called touchdown, he should have been like, "Shh, everyone run off the field quick before they notice I was out of bounds." He was like, "Yeah, I was it." It's like, dude, you don't know where your feet are in bounds. That's troubling to me as a $40 million a year quarterback.
Yeah, that's again. It was like a dumb game when I saw it. I was like, I mean, I'm sitting. There's one guy, and don't be this guy. He's like, "I'll bet you $100. It's not a touchdown." I'm like, I saw what you saw. I already saw it. What are you talking about? Like, the look when he looks up at the he's like, "Oh, what?" I'm like, how did you? You're there. Like,
yeah, you should be able to see down to your own foot. You shouldn't have to look up at a jumbotron to know where your own foot was.
Yeah, and then and again, I don't understand. Like, the knee like our tight end, the knee was down on the goal line, but the ball didn't cross the plane. I didn't.
So I'm glad you brought this up. And then
Right.
real quick before we touch on the tight end touchdown, non-touchdown for the Cowboys, I want to bring up that I forgot to mention with Trey when Trey brought up Dak's fragile butt, which is right before they ran that quarterback sneak. I turned to Tara, and I even turned to the nice Eagles fans next to me. I was like, I don't know why they're doing this. He sucks at quarterback sneaks. I don't know if I've ever seen him do a quarterback sneak. It's like, yeah, that was really good. To me, that's not something that should be in Dak's repertoire, or he needs to practice it more because he doesn't seem very good at it. He doesn't. He lumbers. He does lumber a bit. He's one of those quarterback sneaks. He's kind of leans, kind of falls a bit, but that's not going to work. But going back to the knee thing with the touchdown, non-touchdown. Someone brought this up, and I think it's very, very accurate. That is, if that play happens on the sideline, that's a catch.
Right.
Because he has to maintain possession. He had one knee in bounds, and he has to maintain possession throughout the entirety of the catch, which goes into out-of-bounds territory, right?
Right.
On the goal line, though, he is called down exactly where the ball is when his knee hits, which in this case was 1 inch short of a touchdown.
Yes.
But let's say that 1 inch was erased and he catches the ball with the ball breaking the plane of the end zone when his knee is down. At first blush, it's a touchdown. But then as he continues to the ground, if he then bobbles or coughs up the ball, it's an incomplete pass.
Right.
So this is one of those times where if you play the game long enough, and the NFL clearly has, where you've got to look at that play and be like, we kind of need to address that because we just found a little land of limbo here that caused a major issue in a major conference game in the season.
Yes. And that was I'm glad you're saying the same thing. That was my thought, is if we move him up and he's going out of bounds, that's a catch. But right there, it's an inch away. Like, I don't understand how that's why it has to go. And again, it went back to the booth to review, but
the rule as it is in the book,
it
was a correct call ultimately that it was not a touchdown, even though it went against us as Cowboys fans.
And I'm going to be a contrarian here and say,
I'm sorry, a what?
Contrarian.
I'm going to replay back. I'm going to replay that back for you. I want you to hear their first. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, the way you said it the first time, I'm like, yeah, you are.
It's Trey's other job.
It's his favorite word. If anybody missed out on the bleep last week, that's his favorite word.
Backs and receivers, they know that the ball has to cross the plane. That is the ultimate when it comes to the end zone. That has always been, the ball has to cross the plane. Period. The end. It's always been that way. Now you want to get into the semantics of, if it's out of bounds, if he has 2 feet in, but also, Dan, one point you said of if he has control, crosses the plane. Once it crosses the plane, if it then hits the ground and the ball comes loose, technically, no, it's actually would still be a touchdown, because the ground can't cause a fumble. And as long as he had control as it was crossing the plane.
But see, that therein lies the gray area, because what you're saying is correct. And this is one of those situations where I think two things are correct at the same time, even though they're kind of opposed. Take the same play, like you were just describing, happening at the front edge of the end zone versus the back edge of the end zone.
Right.
So he catches the ball 2 feet inbounds in the back of the end zone, and then falls, and as he falls, that ball pops out. He's not getting the touchdown because he didn't complete the process of the catch. So that's what I'm saying is there needs to be, even though this type of play happens very rarely, it happened in this game, so they need to take a look at it. There shouldn't be a double standard based on where you are on the field. It's like it's either a catch or it's not,
right?
And you need to just tweak the rule just a little bit to where it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
At the end of the day, the NFL could just go double middle fingers and say, tell your tight end to run a half-yard deeper route like you should have in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think, I don't think, and I said it before. I was like, I'm giving them. I had a good feeling. I had that they were playing well, and I think they had some momentum going in. I when I watched the first was, I think it was 3 and out very quickly, and I didn't see any sense of urgency or like that confidence that they walk in with, that you can kind of tell walking into a game, like, okay, they're walking in with a different kind of swag. And I didn't see that, and I was worried immediately. I was like, when it was just that really quick, that first series, when it was 3 and out, like within I think it was 2 minutes, it was 3 and out, and I'm like, wow. And they just kind of walked off to the sideline.
Yeah, it was more like almost like well, all shucks.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. And that's the thing that always bugged me about Tony Romo, was the aw shucks mentality. Like, oh, we'll do it again. We'll see you in a second, and let me put my slip-ons on. And I'm like, where's the, like, Aikman had that killer, like, you would see Aikman go over to his players and yell and scream, like, we need to get into this game. And
imagine
nobody
had that
since
been
it,
Aikman in that
that's
first
what
series, he'd have gone
yeah.
to the sideline and he would have been upset.
Yeah, and then I haven't seen that from any quarterback that we've had since him.
Tom Brady.
Nope. Yeah, but we didn't have Tom Brady.
Well, I'm just saying.
I was
you don't
just
really,
focusing on Drew Henson's lack of motivation.
yeah, Quincy Carter wasn't a big ass chewer.
Hey, here's it, but let me just say that was a weird thing to say. But let me just say this about Quincy Carter. He's a great tipper, or he was.
I
back
knew
when
you were
he
going
had-
to say that.
back when he
Raj
had,
will defend Quincy Carter to the day he dies because he helped keep Raj's nightclub in Deep Ellum alive for years.
Oh my God, yes! And day before a game, I'm like I've told you guys this before. I'd watch like the third interception. I'm like, he's hungover. Like I know, I know what time he got in his car. Like there's no
People
way.
talk about having receipts on things. Raj literally had them.
I did, and my favorite part of this story is he was interviewed years later, and they called me. It was a Abilene, I think it was where he was living. There was the newspaper there was interviewing him. And they're like, "Hey, he frequented your bar quite often. How was he as a person?" I was like, "He was delightful. Like he was wonderful. He was sweet, and he tipped 100%. So if the bill
he's a great customer.
Yes, if the bill was $3,000, he tipped $3,000. That's how it was. And when they went back to him to confirm this, he had no recollection of ever being in my club. I was like,
that was honestly, that's a PR professional told him to say that.
Yeah, I was like, that's that, or so did vodka. So I think that was but
if
no,
his PR company was great.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see that. Like we haven't had that quarterback. We haven't had like your Tom Brady. We haven't had your guy that goes over and goes, "Hey man, what are we doing? Like we're getting paid a lot of money. Let's step this up." And nobody seems to do that. And Dak is again, you see that kind of Romo-esque. Oh darn, we'll get him next time. And there's not that killer instinct. I haven't seen it. I don't think he has it. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's like
I know who could instill that in him.
Who's that?
Someone that we know very, very close to us, who labels himself as a contrarian, which is what the Cowboys need in their starting quarterback. They need a little bit of contrarian. That would really get them over the.
You need a big old contrarian. Like that's what they need. Yeah. Just disappointing.
Meanwhile, the punter's over there going like, "I got a new catchphrase."
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at Treehouse On Air. You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Welcome back inside the Treehouse Football Podcast, episode number 10, where we lament the Cowboys lost to the Eagles 28-23. And part of what's always going to be frustrating as a Cowboys fan, despite losing and disappointment in general, are Eagles fans and how truly awful they can be. And
yes,
what is frightening about it is they know it. And
Yeah.
honestly, they don't just embrace it, they hump it.
As I said, they
Yeah.
own it.
They
Yeah.
don't only own it, but they parade it and they love it. They cherish it. They call it George. And I'm going to give you a brief story here, which embodies Eagles fandom,
Okay.
but in one of the least egregious ways. Okay, because Philly fans in general, whether it's Philadelphia in general, like if it's Phillies, 76ers, although they don't have as much to be loud about lately,
Mhm.
Flyers, and obviously the Eagles as a fan base. Every other fan base agrees that they're pretty much terrible, and then they go and prove you correct.
Yes.
So here's a small example of that in real life that happened before the Eagles Cowboys game on Sunday. Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
So we are newly relocated, my wife and I, to St. John. And St. John on the west end, which is Cruise Bay, it's very small. It's where the cruise ships come in. There's lots of bars and restaurants, lots of activity. It's where the nightlife is. It's also where there's the bars you can go watch the games. So Tara is running a quick errand before the game, before meeting me back at the bar to watch the game. And while she runs across the park, she is then verbally accosted by Eagles fans because all she is doing is walking across the park wearing a Cowboys star t-shirt. And the throng of Eagles fans are walking the opposite direction. And what do they start doing? They start booing her simply because of her t-shirt. And she didn't even realize why at first. She's like, why are these people making weird noises? And then she sees them looking at her and they're like, boo. And I guess they could see the look on her face like, why are you booing? Is something wrong with you? Are you having a stroke? And they're like, oh, you Cowboys. And then they're pulling on their Eagle shirts, boo you. And then they asked her where the beach bar was because they couldn't find it.
Hilarious.
I'm going to say that again.
Mhm.
They're on an island.
Yeah.
And the island is 8 miles across. And they had to ask where the beach bar is located.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
And then boo the person giving them directions. So that's what they did. They booed her and then like, hey, do you know where beach bar is? And then she's like, yeah, I'll tell you, because Tara is wonderful at maintaining the high ground. She's like, she gave them directions to where the beach bar was. Ironically enough, it was on the fucking beach. And
I would have been like,
then when they
okay,
walked away, they booed her again.
yes. So then I would have been like, hey, it's on St. Martin. That's where you're gonna have to take the ferry,
Uh-huh.
and that's where the beach bar is. That's where everybody's going to watch the game. I would have given them the yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the Philly the guy we're losing. I think there was 34 seconds left. He's like, I'll bet you $100. I'm like, what? Stop. Like we lost. I get it. Do you want me to
Right.
say it? I understand it. I'll bet you $100. Cowboys lose. Yeah, I'm not an idiot. My dear friend and wonderful comedian Dom Herrera, who's from Philadelphia, has been on stage and said this. He gets to do this really cool thing that some comics get to do. They go to the training camps and then they perform for the team. It's a really great gig. It's really good money. And he said this on stage. He said, I've performed many times for my hometown, the Philadelphia Eagles, and I've performed for the Dallas Cowboys. And he gets booed all the time. And he goes, the nicest fans in the world are Dallas Cowboys fans, and the worst fans in the world are Philadelphia Eagles. And he's from Philly.
And do they cheer it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we are. I'm like, yes, you threw snowballs at Santa. Like, I mean, they had the year that Jimmy Johnson was running off the field and they were throwing snowballs. They found batteries
Yep.
inside the snowballs. Like, I mean, what are you doing? Like,
that's the old vet.
Mhm.
yeah.
Hell, if people don't remember Bounty Gate.
Oh yeah.
There was actually a really good recap. I'm not sure if it was Fox that put it out or if I just saw it online or maybe a little bit of both. That sort of set the stage for that rivalry. And they showed some older clips of Eagles Cowboys and stuff. But if we're being honest, it really picked up steam with the Buddy Ryan era as a head coach of the Eagles. That's when it took on a really violent thing. And that's where we got Bounty Gate, like Trey's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember. I mean, the quintessential moment of Eagles fans, and there are many, but in my mind, it always has been when Michael Irvin is laying there on the field, almost paralyzed, and they're
Or
booing.
maybe dead.
Yeah, and they're booing. I mean, they're just.
No, they were cheering.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But they were happy that he was hurt. I mean, and you can go back just that Phillies Arizona Diamondbacks baseball series when the Diamondbacks won at Philly. When the Rangers won, they were gracious. They clapped, everything else. Philly fans, of course, they stay around just to boo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Philadelphia. I mean, I don't know if have you ever been? Like, there's
No, and everything we've said is why.
Okay.
Because
I've been.
look, I mean, let me pose a hypothetical for you. And Raj, I'm not sure how much you can relate to this because I'm sure you've been in New York many times as a comedian, and you're a Yankees fan. So you, Raj, can go to Yankee Stadium and wear your team stuff because you're a Yankees fan. If Trey and I were to go to Yankee Stadium wearing Ranger stuff, I wouldn't necessarily feel unsafe. I'm probably going to get some things yelled at me, but it's not like I'm walking in there wearing a Red Sox jersey. So my question to you is this: if you had to, would you rather walk into Yankee Stadium wearing a Red Sox jersey, or vice versa, walk into Fenway wearing a Yankees jersey, or would you be forced to walk into Lincoln Financial, where the Eagles play, wearing a Cowboys jersey?
Oh, I'd take the Yankees at Fenway.
Yeah.
100%.
I would rather be on one side of the Yankees Red Sox thing than I would rather be the Cowboys fan wearing a Cowboys jersey where the Eagles play.
I went to there was a series years ago when it was the Yankees came to town. I think there was like 2 games. I think there was 2 games in New York and then 2 games in at the old ballpark. And I had my Yankees hat on. And the only thing that when I sat down amongst all of my friends who were all Rangers fans and me with the Yankees hat, the only thing is every time the Rangers did anything of any merit, like if they just a base hit or an out, whatever, it was somebody would scream like, "He's got to buy the beers!" Like that's the only thing. And then I remember I bought a round of beers and I sat down, and this is back when Cecil Fielder was still playing for the Yankees.
Okay.
Till ages ago. So he comes up to bat, and I just put my hand up because I knew it, just the way he walked in, and it was just a walk-off home run. And I just turned around and go, "Who's buying the beers?" And somebody actually bought me a beer.
And
that
that's
was
actually
nice.
a sweet
that was
story.
Yeah, that was the most accosting of that I got wearing a Yankees
That is
hat
my
at the
idea of fandom. It's
Yeah.
it's a little bit of competitiveness, but realizing you're not a player and you're not going to actually get to hold the trophy. Typically, you're not getting a game check. You didn't contribute significantly to the win.
Yeah.
But you can have a little light jesting, between fans. But ultimately, it's classy.
Yeah, it was nice. It was fun. It was anytime the Yankees would come up with like, "Are you ready? He's going to strike him out." I'm like, and they would yell that at me. Like that was it. It wasn't like anything violent or anything.
Stuff
like,
that was typically in good-natured fun as opposed to outright, bullying and or assault.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, and again, like you're saying, like I love that. Like when I'm sitting at a bar or whatever, watching a game, I'm like, what the hell does he think he's doing? I'm like, he's being an athlete. I don't know what are you doing? We're eating wings
being
and
a fan by yelling at the athlete.
Yeah, I'm like, we're eating wings and drinking booze. What part of this game are you contributing to? Like
eating wings, drinking booze, and demanding excellence.
that needs to be our Treehouse football shirts. Eating wings, drinking booze, demanding excellence.
That is a little Cowboys copyright infringement star. Yeah.
We
Trey,
have
what's
to have
it like?
that shirt.
What's it like, you, Trey, being a highly esteemed contrarian when you encounter Eagles fans?
I try to just avoid Eagles fans at all
That
costs.
should tell you everything you need to know. That's the Treehouse muscle right there, saying, I go the other way.
Listen, there are the 2 girls, and they were regulars at my old place, and love them. Just sweetheart, 20-something, huge Cowboys fans. They go every year. They take a trip to follow an away game. They've been to Kansas City.
Cleat chasers?
No.
Okay.
They literally just big fans.
Gotcha.
Like they're going to be at every game, watching it, and they're just huge fans. And so a couple of years ago, I'm like, "Where are y'all going to go this year?" They go, "Philly." I go, "Mm-mm." They're like, "What?" I go, You
Mm-mm.
don't understand. It's different. Like you. It doesn't matter that you're two, sweet girls. You're going to be shocked at the way what happens. They're like,
Yeah.
no, that's just rumor. They came back shell shocked. They're
I
like,
would almost think that might have been worse for them because I feel Phillies fans and Sharks are similar in that they can both smell blood in the water. And I think sending two naive young women to watch a Eagles game wearing Cowboys stuff, I feel like that's just like the Eagles fans going like, this is going to be easy.
oh yeah, that absolutely just like throwing just a baby in the middle of the Lions.
And the Eagles fans going, yeah, eat that baby. So now all that being said, the Eagles did win, so they do get bragging rights for the next 5 weeks because that's the next time the Cowboys match up against the Eagles. This week, though, Cowboys go up against the Giants at home. The Giants that not only lost against the new head coach Raiders, but also they find themselves with 2 whole wins, and they got to go to Arlington and play the Cowboys that are itching for a conference win after the Eagles lost.
And they have their quarterback is gone with an Achilles tear, right? Daniel Jones, isn't he out?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I imagine that Achilles tear was one of those that when the head trainer turned around, he grabbed the shears and finished the job.
Yeah. You don't think he's going to be like Aaron Rodgers and go, I'll be back in a couple of weeks?
I think he's going to say like, you know what? I just got a huge contract. I'll be back in a couple of years.
Yeah. Isn't that the same? They both play in the Meadowlands, right? Isn't it the same field? Isn't it the turf? Is the question? I think Aaron Rodgers brought it up. Is that turf is dangerous? And
the turf monster is real, and it keeps getting New York footballers.
Yeah, I mean, it got Aaron Rodgers, and now it's got Daniel Jones. And I just think when you have that much money invested in those players, you change the turf. Like, I don't know what the deal is, unless they only thing is they're actually scared of finding Jimmy Hoffa. I don't know what it would be.
We're not peeling that off.
But yeah, I mean, they couldn't get an easier win. They don't have their quarterback. They don't have their team is terrible.
Trey, what's the line going into Cowboys and Giants?
I don't know why you have to look these up. We know you bet.
I think it's because he wants to look like he has to look them up, even though we all know he knows them, not only off the top of his head, but deep in his heart. He knows. He just doesn't want to appear to be a degenerate.
I'm surprised we don't, like, when we're doing this show, like, people aren't dropping off money. Like we know.
Speaking of that, Trey, where's my money? So I actually took the Eagles -3, so obviously they won.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I need my bag of money. Even though I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm when it comes to financial decisions, I will bet against my team.
You bet against them?
Yes, you were here for it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you actually put money on it.
I said it on the show. It makes it real. Trey, where's my money?
The line is 16. Cowboys -16.5, and the over under is 38.5. So basically, what Vegas is saying is
it's going to be a blowout.
It should be a Cowboys blowout, and doubtful that the Giants can score.
It's a question. It really is. It really is amazing that people even bother to do sports shows like this, because once Vegas puts numbers out like that, you're like, well, that says everything that needs to be said right there.
Yeah, and since they run everything, that's how. See, and to prove my point, Vegas said this is what it was. You bet against the team, and you won.
Yeah, I won. So I'm going to do it again this week. So I'm going to continue my streak of betting against the Cowboys and trying to win money, because why should the Joneses be the only Cowboys fans making money off this thing? So that's the bandwagon I'm going to jump on, and that is betting against the Cowboys until they prove me wrong, because I will be eating chicken wings, drinking beer, and demanding excellence. So I will take the under. I'll take the under, because I think that 38.5, they're begging you to take the over, so I think it'll be under. It'll still be probably Cowboys, 28-3 or something, but that's the under. So it'll still be a blowout. It'll go under, and that the points line is real tempting to take the over. So I'm going to take the under. I'm going to say the Cowboys win convincingly, but kind of stink at the same time, because that's what the Cowboys do. So I'll take the under, and I'll take the Giants on the points.
But again, you said it last time that you were taking the points, but you're not saying how much money you're putting on. You're asking for a bag of money, but you never established how much you were actually betting.
I guess I never really truly told you my strategy, Raj, and that is to verbally say the bet, but then physically want a bag of money for not having laid out any actual cash. While it has not actually afforded me any windfalls of cash, at least I'm not in the red.
See, and this is why you got to do a 23andMe, because I'm positive you're part Indian, because that's just how we.
I did do an ancestry DNA, and sorry, Raj, it's
no
mostly
Indian?
standard white guy stuff.
Okay, you got no South Asian, because you bet like one.
Well, you know what? When I'm around you long enough, it just kind of rubs off.
You're just like, I'm not putting any money up, but I want the profit.
That's right, I do.
That's the most Indian as it gets. Like they call it the American way. I don't know why.
Because like most things American, we stole it.
Yeah.
This land is now ours. Yeah. Dre, where's your pretend money going, or real money going this week?
God, I hate that bet. It's
in that scenario, I say bet on how you bet the opposite of what you think Vegas wants you to do.
What I would hope is to sit on it. If the line goes to 17, I'd take the points. And more than anything else, thinking that, and it happens in the NFL all the time, of the trash time touchdown of the Cowboys can be up, 28 to 3 or whatever. And then next thing you know, they come back and, the Giants score 10 points that are useless. Or
the Cowboys feel like giving Deuce Vaughn a rushing touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Raj, what about you? Are you in my section of the Treehouse?
I'm with you, man. I would take the under, because I think they're going to be delightfully terrible. I think they're going to be one of those. It's going to be a great game, but they're going to go at some point. You're going to go, why? Like just like every game, you just go, why'd you do that?
I feel like we're on a streak of creating shirts. We have Hotter Than Bear Spray.
Yes.
We now have our first Cowboy shirt, which is eating wings, drinking beer, demanding excellence.
That is a great shirt.
And now a third shirt, also Cowboys related. It can say the Dallas Cowboys have the blue star, and underneath it, why? Why? Why?
It has to be like one of those things that you can push and it talks. Like, so like you can push the star and it's just your voice going, why?
Why? Now I want my bags of money. All right, I need to get on the phone with Hayden from Spoke Custom. We need a shirt that talks.
Yeah.
On the back of the shirt, it can say, press my star.
Put your picture on there and just press it.
Money and marketing. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, thanks for hanging out with us in the Treehouse Football Podcast, number 10. Next up tomorrow is the Treehouse Friday episode. Birthdays, crazy news, all sorts of fun, and possibly a special appearance by Everett Newton, rock and roll attorney. We will see you next time in the Treehouse. Oh, and by the way, Treehouse is open for business. treehouseonair@gmail.com. If you'd like to sponsor this here football show, we'd be happy to do that for you. treehouseonair@gmail.com. See you next time in the Treehouse.
Yep.